Hi, I'm Amnesty, and I'm here to do the This Is Me project. So, I like to first start off by summarizing our personal assessments. While doing the personal assessments, I realized that there are some topics that I was more positive on or higher on, and then there were some topics that I were more negative or low to. Some of the positive or high ones were um, the empathy and friendships. So, while doing the personal assessment, I tallied up my score and I got 1 through 7, 28, and 8 through 14, 26. And it says that I have a greater empathy during my friendships. One of the negative ones were the sexist language. Honestly, I don't feel like I don't want to say care, but pretty much I don't really, sexist language doesn't really bother me in the sense, like it doesn't impact me deeply to where I get angry. So with that self-assessment, I didn't have a negative attitude towards sexist language. Like I said already that sexist language doesn't bother me. So on that note, I scored a 16, and you can score between 6 and 30. And it says that if you score 24 and higher, you reflect a negative attitude towards sexist language. Well, I don't reflect a negative attitude towards sexist language. As far as the summarizing everything that I've learned a lot. I know communication is important, but I think with this class, I've found more things about communication that are important. Like I've pointed out a couple topics before: self-disclosure, emotional, nonverbal language, um, making snap judgment, first impressions, things like that. I feel like they relate more to me because I have personally done them. I'm pretty sure that a lot of people actually have done these things, but I feel like I personally do them, and I feel like sometimes they can be a problem, and that's something that I would have to work on in the future, and I have worked on currently. So, as I just said, the topics that I want to focus on are self-disclosure, first impression, making snap judgments, um, nonverbal language, and that's it. So, all of these that I just stated, they it's not the whole course, but it's what resonated to me. It's what relates more to me. It's what that actually stood out to me, and I feel like I learned more from than all the other topics. The other topics were good, but these are just topics that I simply believe relate more to me and that I have learned to handle them differently. So um, with self-disclosure, it's taken me a while to actually be able to disclose information to anyone because growing up, it's kind of like I don't really want to tell anybody my business. In relationships, it was hard to tell people my business, and friendships as well. I think it started with a trust thing. So, with that being said, self-disclosure, I have changed it, and reading what I've read in the chapter, I think that it's good to self-disclose, and there are plenty benefits to self-disclosing. You get to like vent and get things off your mind so that you're not stressed about things. Some stuff that I can pull out of my paper that I read. So I realized that with self-disclosure there are benefits, and these benefits are self-clarification, self-validation, impression formation, relationship maintenance and enhancement, moral obligation, social influences, and self-defense. There are also risks to self-disclosure, which and those are like things like rejection, which all of us have a fear of. The next thing is making snap judgments. I tend to make snap judgments. I don't have to know an individual. I don't have to, meet an individual, it's just seeing that person. And I'm pretty sure all of us have done it. Just seeing one person and you're just like, what you just did is not okay. So we make judgments like, oh, they're nasty, they're weird, they're often negative judgments. They're not always the positive judgment that you make about an individual when you first get to meet them. So snap judgments are these judgments that you really just make automatically. They're similar to first impressions, but you have yet to meet this person. So with that being said, first impressions. First impressions, they are basically like snap judgments, like I just said. They kind of, to me, they interrelate. They they have to do the same thing. There isn't really much of a difference, but with the first impression, you actually know this person. You have actually met this person. With the first impression, you know their name. You've actually been introduced to them. You know whether they're off of that one, hi, my name is, you can gather information such as like how they hold themselves, how they represent themselves. One of first impressions typically are based off physical appearance. So it depends on how they are dressed. That's if whether you perceive them as a negative person or a positive person or classy or messy, stuff like that. The next thing is, sorry, nonverbal language. Nonverbal language. Oh, this is important to me. Our nonverbals scream how we feel about a situation. As reading, I see that nonverbal language is something that's really important. As I will explain more in my paper, nonverbal language honestly deals with, to me, majority of it deals with body language. When you approach a person, their body language kind of tells how they're feeling at that moment, at that time where you're approaching them. If they don't really want to be bothered, you're going to be able to tell because they give off like this like vibe to where they don't want to be bothered. So with that being said, body movement such as your posture, your gesture, your face, your voice, your tone of voice, your hands, like what are you doing with your hands? So this, if they're uncomfortable, they're gonna be looking all types of ways. If they don't want to be somewhere, they're probably gonna slouch or things like that. Um, all of these, with all this being said, personally, I feel like it helps me to grow, not professionally. I feel like it develops me into a more professional person because I know how to handle myself. I know how to not react or how to act. It basically shows me how I need to be. As far as communication goes, I have to learn how to communicate with people. I have to learn not to show um, lost the word. Yeah, I just had to learn not to be judgy of people. Um, Also, professionally, it helps that communication is worked on because you don't want to be talking to someone and you not know how to communicate with them because that doesn't look good on your part. So, with all that being said, more will be explained in my reflection paper. And have a great day. Bye.